Yeah, we can go ahead.
All right, you go ahead,
And
Joseph.
are we on?
He's getting it now. Stand pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome for 2021 meeting of the Washington County Board of Elections for the purpose of recount. I think in our packets, there's probably both the directives as well as, I think, is this from our
That's from our election official manual.
the official manual.
Yeah.
So we have both with regard to what we're doing on post-election activity.
Yes, and then there's a copy of the results, one from the unofficial canvas and then one from the official canvas, so you can see the differences.
Right. Yeah.
So far, me and the clerks have worked on, mainly the clerks have worked on counting the ballots, and we came out with the same result from the official canvas, the
The hand
72,
count.
yeah.
All right. But I believe are you folks from Newmat?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because I think they were anxious to see us
So we
do
can,
a recount.
yeah, we can work on,
Right.
I'll get,
So if you want to go ahead and get the folks. I don't know if you had other comments you wanted to make or questions or
Yeah.
whatever.
I got a question.
And who are you?
I'm Jay Barons.
Sure.
From New Metamours. My question is this meeting right here being video recorded?
yes,
Was the coin toss video recorded?
Should have been, and it was broadcast live on television.
where?
On YouTube.
I'm the guy that flipped it.
Okay.
And I'm a D, and the R selected how we were going to go about making a head versus a tail. But that was called in advance. In other words, they were assigned a head and a tail, and then flipped right here on the desk. It rattled around. And
Was, where can we find that video at?
I don't know. The internet is not me. As far as I know, they're recorded. We'll have to ask the staff how that works.
Okay.
It certainly, we record stuff audio wise,
Right.
and so.
Well, I was told yesterday that it wasn't recorded video, it was recorded audio.
And that may be true. I suppose that's possible. Why, do you think we cheated?
Oh, no, I'm not, no.
All right.
I don't think
Why would you take our word that we did it right?
Because we're video recording a meeting, why aren't we recording something recorded like a coin toss?
Well, because we invited the entire world to watch it. And apparently the world wasn't that
I
interested.
have copies, but thank you. Thank you.
So if people weren't interested, I mean, you could have watched it on our Zoom.
We didn't realize there was gonna be a coin toss because the unofficial,
Well, the law requires it.
I'm sorry,
The
did you
law
hear me?
requires it.
You don't listen to you.
There was a coin toss because there was a tie. We
Yeah.
didn't know there was going to be a tie
Right. But
until the
you,
coin toss occurred.
well, I'm
It
just
happened at the
saying,
same
though,
moment.
we don't have a choice to hold off.
Right.
Once we find
That's
out,
why-
oh, we got a
I understand
tie,
that.
you know, we had to flip the coin.
True.
I have asked our IT person who is here, he's going to go back. We have two ways that we record our meetings. One is through Zoom, but I do know that because our subscription had expired, we had a time limit on it, but he thinks it's still on YouTube Live. So he is going back to find it,
Okay.
and we can show it to you here on our television.
Is there a certain channel on YouTube?
No, it's just YouTube Live, and just do a search of Washington County Board of Elections.
All right, and we have the election day ballot too, if you'd like
Yep.
to start.
Yep. Go right ahead. Everything we do, we have an R and a D
Or anything.
doing it, so there's no issue of,
Right, right.
you know,
I understand, yeah, absolutely.
And in my time, I think it's the only, we had a tie after the unofficial canvass. As you know, on election night,
Yeah,
that's not the official canvass,
absolutely.
it's the unofficial.
Yeah, because you
But
have,
if it's a tie, you have to flip a coin. And my memory of the situation was that we called the winner, and he was disappointed he won the coin toss. And then we had the official where they actually flipped the results. And we called up the fellow who won the coin toss, and he was happy, now lost. But when we talked to the winner, he was unhappy that he won, because these were two best buddies or something, and they really wanted the other guy to win. So I'm just kind of curious about why they both ran, if
right, if there was.
should have picked one before
Exactly.
it and just campaigned for the other guy
Absolutely.
and so forth. So, these are rare, and I don't know if you saw the paperwork they handed out. The change occurred because of provisional,
Right,
the way it turned out. And in close elections, we're just never sure. I think we were looking at about 3 elections that were close that could have either gone to tie or could have gone to at least a recount, because they were within that 0.5%
right.
and so forth. And as it turned out, when it all shook out, this was the one that ended up with a recount. The other ones, they were spread far enough apart that there wasn't, and again, the staff could tell, no one requested a recount on their own because they were outside that 0.5%.
No, nobody for this election.
And so this one, of course, was automatic. I mean,
Right.
the law says you're gonna recount.
Right.
And the precincts we picked for our audit that were selected, withdrawn, they didn't involve any of that.
Yeah, they didn't involve this race.
Right. We're also conducting an audit, where we do an audit each election. And it's a blind draw, where we're picking precincts. And we have to pick to a certain number based on how the law's laid out of, you have to have so many ballots that you're gonna audit.
Percentage.
And so it's based on a percentage, so you draw. And once you exceed that number, then those are the precincts that you audit.
Right.
So we go through and check those to make sure that everything worked, again, properly. Because we check the machines when they're first set up. The company we use comes from outside of Ohio. So it's someone who wouldn't have any interest in some local election that set things up. But then we conduct our own pre-election, if you will, to make sure things are scanning right. And if you print a ballot, it prints the way you wanted it. And then we do a post-election audit to make sure that nothing changed and so forth. And of course, once these pieces of equipment go into that process, they're under, you can see we have double locks on this door. We have lots of double locks. It takes 2 keys, one possessed by an R and one possessed by a D, in order to,
What date was that meeting? Is it the 18th?
Our official count was the 18th.
Okay, I've got it here on my phone.
oh, you found it?
Mhm.
Huh?
I don't think I can stream it. It's what's recorded.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be.
So maybe
Well,
after the meeting,
if
we
you
can show
can
it.
find it,
Yeah.
yeah, we can show it to you. When you did your security.
For the help. Okay. As long as you have it, that's good, that's good.
My computer kept thinking it was a virus, so it wouldn't conduct it. And so I had to do it on the phone. Wow. Apparently, the first time I did it, if you remember, I got to like the 3rd or 4th section, and I did it, and then when I hit the next button, it wouldn't go. It just wouldn't move.
That's above good. That's above
Yeah.
good. No, yeah.
So I hit the back button and I did it again. And this time when I did it, because it was like the third question or so, I'm going like this, I ended up hitting a vote or a selection and the submit button, and it was wrong. So I missed it. But I thought, well, yeah, but it wouldn't go. So the next time I decided I'll miss all of them on purpose. So I missed all of them on purpose and hit it, wouldn't go. So I went back and got them all right, hit it, wouldn't go. So I skipped it. Well, when I went in this time, I don't know what your system looked like. My system had 6 or 8 things I had to do, because I had to do all of those things I had otherwise done.
The truth is the two.
I had to do all of them, including another 2 45-minute sections with that mimic or whatever his name is. And then I came to the ones for this.
I can't imagine doing it on your phone. I would think that would be even harder.
Well, and I got about halfway done, and there was one where you had 3 lives. Didn't you have that? Or
I haven't
maybe
taken it
that
yet.
was on mine. I had 3
will probably go
lives
take it
left.
at
It was
home.
like a quiz, but you had 3 lines, so you could miss 3. So anyway,
I wouldn't know because I didn't miss it.
yeah. Well, I'm banging away once again with my phone, and I can't, the print is beyond tiny.
Yeah.
So I go like this, as sure as I go like this, I hit votes and I now have 1 less line.
Yeah.
So I'm frustrated. So I went and skipped it, did another, went and did another one, and then quit for the night because I was just irritated and came back yesterday. And lo and behold, it gave me back my life.
Oh.
You got renewed.
Yeah,
So I went through
a resurrection.
and then, yeah, Easter. And then did apparently what
I found it on my
Somebody
phone. Yeah.
I got done. And then, yeah, but to the same stupid questions as before. I mean, I never heard social engineering out of that man's mouth 5 times. And I'm like, that's just stupid. Come on.
It was nothing.
Fishing, smishing.
Fishing I hadn't heard.
Oh, and one of them was wrong. One of the answers was wrong. Yeah. It was the example of what has the greatest red flags. And this person was required to hit a link that sent them to a website. On the website, it said, give me your password, username, et cetera. That's the right answer according to them. But according to me, it was the first one where you hit the link that sent you to the website. Because every one of their examples said that transaction there will open, the initial one will open it up. So to me, it's by far the worst one, because if you never hit it, you never get to the username. But they said, because there were 2 of them, it was greater, and I'm going, well, that sends a terrible message of it's okay to hit a link to go to a website when you told us it is.
Because of this, no, that's fine, because of the subscription, it didn't get the last part, an hour.
You gotta be kidding.
But we'll have it on here, so.
TV ended, and all we have is on there.
It's on our recorder, it
I
didn't,
can sure I flipped it
not
up
on
in the air.
it's not, on the part of the meeting is, but when we did the coin flip, it's not,
I
unfortunately.
got a question about that. Is there any way that we can, if another coin toss ever comes up, is there any way that we can have that recorded? And
Well, we'll certainly do our best.
it would just save a lot of questions. That's just my opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't accuse anybody of cheating.
But how
But I don't know you any more than I know this guy over here or this
Right.
girl over here. I would never accuse anybody of cheating unless I had the facts of it.
Right.
I don't have any facts.
But the only concern I guess I have is that it's sort of like, well, if I don't see it, then I figure people cheat. And I have to wonder, why would you think that?
Because that's the world we live in.
That's the world.
Or is it your world? I wouldn't necessarily think that somebody cheated.
Yeah, I'm still
I mean,
pushing 2020.
I'll be honest, I represented, people
So I'm one
that
of
had
those
legal
people.
problems for almost 50 years. And that personality type tended to be people who, in their own private lives, that's how they dealt with people.
So you're a divider of the people. I understand. I understand.
And I can tell
My
you.
name is Claudine Barron, and you can check my record.
No,
I am
that's not what I'm saying.
I'm not a
I'm just
criminal.
saying,
I'm not a criminal.
I'm just beginning to
And
worry about
it's
people
questionable for you to make
automatically
everybody feel
thinking
that way.
everyone cheats.
And there's people that worry about you. Question everything, so.
I don't disagree.
I
I'm
think
just
it's the
saying.
right of America to question one another. That's what.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, if we tell you that all of us in this room
And it just
witnessed,
looks
and
really-
we didn't do anything.
I mean, it's just not us sitting here. There's probably 80 more people in New Matamoros is questioning this.
But I'm just saying, there were all of us in this room. It wasn't like I did this all by my lonesome in a room.
You're just a
understand that.
spokesperson for
But
them.
then we hear there was an audio, then we hear there was a video, then the audio ended, right?
No,
You know
the
what I'm saying?
video.
The audio is.
The audio.
Yeah, but she said the video clear up to that point, right? And-
As far as we can tell, see,
So how does that? I
So
mean,
that raises
It went
questions.
for
And I'm-
maybe an hour or something,
I'm
and
just
that's
saying, how
because
does
that's
that
when it
look?
quit.
because you'll have it, and I agree, it's
Well-
unfortunate that the video had stopped,
Okay.
but we do have an audio of it.
Okay, can I just talk for 1 minute?
Mhm.
Okay, so it was a guy that worked the election board down here for years. And he stated in New Matamoros to several people that this election would change. And what do we see?
We see it change.
And we're asking questions, we'd like the full video of it. I would like to be president while he was president, while the coin toss was tossed.
Yeah.
That's so no one.
Is there any way that can be changed? That's what we're asking. You guys set the rules for here, just as for future.
Yeah, well, again, it's like anything else, we will certainly do our best to make sure it's recorded, because obviously there are people who think that, I guess, the entire board and all of its staff would cheat.
I don't think one of you would cheat. I got
Because-
questions. Questions is different than accusing somebody of
You
cheating.
are wrongly accusing repeatedly.
Yeah,
That's just not
yes, you
cool.
most certainly
That's not
are.
cool.
I guess if I was directing the same, I'm just saying, that's at least that's what I'm hearing. Because we're telling you as a group, and I think even our liaison was here from the Secretary of State, witnessed it, and nobody cheated. I mean, the coin went up in the air, and we had already determined, in other words, we didn't have I'll call it for one of the two people. We said no, like if you watch the NFL and so forth now, before they flip, they asked the captain, you're the visiting team, what are you calling? And they repeat it, et cetera, and then they flip it.
And then how many?
Now, the coin,
Recorded.
we don't see the camera anymore. No camera goes down and looks. Everybody takes apparently the
We got
referee's.
two.
But you got somebody from each team that gets to see that.
Right.
Here, we didn't have anybody from each team.
We have a Republican and a Democrat.
Yeah,
I'm not even here about Republican and Democrats.
right,
We're all the same people here.
right,
I don't care what you label yourself. I don't label myself as either.
right.
I'm not I just don't believe that's more division of the country.
What interests
Maybe though, you've also learned that, well, gee, we can come. We ought to come
Yes.
and watch.
Yes, absolutely.
'Cause we
Absolutely.
don't do anything. The only time we have what we call executive session is there's a very limited thing, and we can't make any decisions in executive session.
Right.
We can only talk about something. Then we have to come out and then say, based on maybe what we talked about, we're gonna make a motion to do this, that, or the other. But you wouldn't be doing that with an election issue. You'd be doing it because you can't go into executive session about a recount or anything.
Right.
You could go in if you were gonna talk about employee compensation or employee promotion or, heaven forbid, demotion or something else.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's just a limited number of things you.
I understand how that works. I'm the mayor of New Matamoros. We go into executive sessions and I
Right,
understand.
same-
that
same
one.
thing.
What interest would any of us have in changing the election in New Matamoros?
Well,
Personally,
that's where
I
I-
don't even know any of those folks.
there may be personal issues. That's probably the cause of a lot of our questioning. one of the candidates in the election is
On your
related to the
side.
person, no.
No.
What
No.
interest would we have in
One of the
changing
people
outcome?
here that work here is related to one of the people that was on the ballot.
Who's
That's
that?
what we're,
Who's,
we're assuming there's
Nobody's names.
some relative,
Well, we
that,
need to
that
know.
work in this office?
yes.
No.
I have no relative, none of
You
us.
got everybody here,
Because as a matter of fact, if there is a close relationship, that person has to recuse himself.
Mhm.
right?
Anything having to do with a recount. So if there's
What's
somebody.
considered a close
else,
relative? Like how far does that go?
Spouse, parent,
Want
Brother,
cousins?
siblings.
sister.
Cousins are allowed,
Distant
not
cousins.
conflict.
yeah, that's.
Well, you gotta
More
remember
removed.
cousins, you can start first,
I
second,
mean,
third, fourth, fifth, sixth,
That could
seventh.
be a whole lot of
That's what I'm
people.
asking, where's the line
Yeah.
on relative?
It's immediate.
If any
There
of
was
us
one election, I had 4 relatives running for township trustee for one township. I recused myself because I didn't want people thinking, oh my gosh, she's related to this
Right, because
person.
that's some of the
Right.
questions
So
that came up was
I
people were
and I said,
questioning
put
the
me somewhere else.
relationship between a worker here and a winner of the
Yeah,
election.
even if we hire people to like deliver stuff, and we have someone that could run and say, is running, because we split the county in half for deliveries, we have 2 teams. Well, if that person was running over in, one of the polling locations here, if they're gonna do deliveries, they have to
They don't
do
get to go.
the other side of the world. We won't even let them.
Well,
Deliver a
Blaze has always
machine.
been a voting location manager for us in New Matamoras. He was not able to work the election. We were gonna even move him maybe to another voting location
Right.
because, and not have his name. So he said, no, I don't want any level of impropriety whatsoever.
Right.
So Blaze sat out this election.
It's funny to me because
He was running.
Blaze,
Mhm.
Blaze
Yeah,
has a direct line here or something because he knew before
The
either,
affected
or Belleville
the affected party,
knew.
the twin cost affected some.
I have no idea how Blaze knew that. I
I
haven't
don't-
talked to
I-
Blaze.
Maybe he was watching.
Yeah, maybe he was, maybe he was.
possibly watching on a video that's no longer there.
Watching on
Okay.
YouTube live.
Right.
The video was
Video
there,
wasn't all the way there.
Yeah. he could- he
How
could
would he have known?
He might have called in, I don't know. I don't know.
I
And
didn't
I
talk.
called
This is like what the question comes up.
And I called those candidates directly and I talked to them on the phone. I called Mr. Dunn first and then I called Shane second.
Well, when Rob's called, they said they already notified Shane that he won the coin toss.
I talked to you first and then I called him. Cause he called back.
Was they the first 2 people notified or was it the paper?
No, the paper was not here that day, so yes, as soon as the meeting was over, I instructed Melissa to
Okay.
call both
Okay.
candidates.
All right.
The press wasn't here that day.
Yeah, the press was not here that day.
No, just our liaison, the person who sort of connects us with the Secretary of State. He has like 14, 15 counties or something, and so he was running around to different counties on our meeting date. He was able to be here and so forth. So we did have that one. I don't remember if there was,
That was all that was here that day.
because we
Yeah,
were
it wasn't-
somewhat surprised that there weren't more candidates, because in a small election, I mean, 4 votes. I mean, if I were the person that was 4 votes up, I'd have been here bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Only, again, maybe because I know that, because we kept saying, this could be a recount, because if one person gets a couple of absentee or a provisional and so forth. And again, the provisional ballots, because that's probably another question, because we noticed that wrong group. Here we go. Mr. Belleville got 4 provisional votes and Mr. Dunn got 0. Well, we don't know what's in a provisional ballot. It comes in an envelope, and the only thing we look at is the envelope to see whether it's permissible for the staff to open. And we vote on that, all 4 of us. And we ended up voting on, and we don't even look to see. I mean, they come as these envelopes and there's a stack of them.
Right.
We just, they come in groups, because the issue might be, I guess this one, They have something not registered, NR, not registered, et cetera. This one apparently in prison since 20 and so forth. And so these are the sorts of things you look at, you go, well, if you're not a registered voter, you can't vote. See the envelope?
But then we do register them after.
Yeah, but it's sealed. We don't open it. So that, we wouldn't have a clue what that ballot says. But because of this front, we can then register them so they're good to go the next
So
time.
basically, if somebody that did a provisional that wasn't registered,
Well, I just,
they'll be registered on the next
Right.
election.
yeah. We try to do everything we can to get voters, up and
Absolutely.
organized and ready to go.
A lot of people,
Can't help the person in prison.
right,
He or
Well, he's
she.
now out, but
Yeah,
then we
I just say he.
register.
And so again, it could be a situation where they could get registered with this information and so forth. But the long and the short is that once we determine that it is a good one, because there are provisionals that are absolutely good,
right.
then they're put in a pile and taken out. They're opened and they run through the ballot. And we have, again, a person we hire that comes from out of state, from a company that, assists in all of that and whatnot. So we even have more hands that have nothing to do with anything we're doing
Right.
as far as those ballots go. So that's kind of how we got there, and as it just turned out, because we were surprised when it was a tie. We figured there could be a recount.
Right, being so
But
close.
we were surprised when it turned out that it was,
And the provisional ballots, I believe it's 11 days after the election, you're supposed to have them count.
That we can start.
we can.
Yeah, then you gotta wait till 11 days, yeah.
Yeah, you have a cure period for
Right.
like absentee ballot, you have a whole host, and they're mailed in. In other words, if you have an absentee ballot, it depends, you have to have it postmarked before the election.
Right.
Sort of a thing, and so then we look at those to make sure that they make the postmark. And I'll be honest with you, this is the first election in a long time where the post office postmarked everything.
Yeah.
Because Columbus has had a history of having postmark problems, such that 2 secretaries of state have met with the postmaster general
Right,
saying, we're counting on these postmarks, because what do we do when it's not postmarked? When did the human being mail it? When did the poor voter mail it? The voter didn't do a thing wrong. Your machine did. And your machine shouldn't do that. Because, there are 2 things that go on with postmarks. That's one, and the other happens to be something I do in this world. And that is, if you file something in federal court, it's the postmark date.
right.
Because we live in Marietta, not everybody gets to just walk over in Columbus and hand it to the clerk.
Right.
So postmarks, or in Cincinnati, I just filed something in the US Supreme Court. And so it was the postmark that counted.
And the other thing is too, when we have a meeting, like we did last week for the official count, we only have so much time that we have to report it out to the Secretary of State.
Right, I understand that. Yeah.
So
My
we
understanding
had to
was-
go ahead and do the coin flip when we determined it was a tie. We had to go ahead and do the coin flip during that meeting because we had to post those results.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's unfortunate that we couldn't invite both candidates to come
Right.
in and witness all of that. But time just,
But I've learned something from this. Next time it's a close tie. And this has nothing, this has nothing to do with me. I'm friends with this fellow, but this has really nothing to do with me.
mhm.
All the questions since 2020. I'm asking questions. Next time it's close, I'll be down there. Can I record it if I come? Can I
Yes,
record it
yes,
on my
you
phone?
can.
I mean,
And yes,
That's what I'm asking, you know?
We didn't even know it was a tie.
yeah,
I
but
wasn't even
yeah. But what
notified.
they're saying though, is it being so close,
You should have.
maybe expect it to be a tie because of the provisionals coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, because it wasn't a tie until that day.
Right, right,
When we
right.
came to the provisional.
right.
But it was so close that it's just a possibility. Like I said, we had 3 elections that we were looking at going, there are enough of these absentees that have come through the mail, the provisionals that the poll workers have, turned in, that just the sheer number of envelopes exceed the difference in like 3 elections. And when the dust settles on all of them, it turned out we had a tie.
Explain to them too, maybe in Muskingum Township and in Independence Township, that was 2 very close races. We didn't know until we counted the provisionals and the absentees from that. And then we did not have to recount those because it was what, point?
Well, the point,
0.5%.
that half a percent. Yeah.
That we didn't have to recount those.
Right.
But with this being a tie, obviously, we did.
It was a
So-
recount.
And the girls just recounted
They recounted again.
and came with the same result.
Same numbers.
Yes.
I know it's not a good thing, but from our perspective, it is a good thing in this sense. We recounted by hand, which tells us that our equipment was working properly. And that obviously has been something that sometimes is in the news about this equipment, finagles and so forth. Well, we go out of our way, and the Secretary of State, quite frankly, has so many rules in place that it would take a conspiracy of monumental proportions for these machines to be fiddled with.
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't just be a couple of people in a dark room somewhere. You would need to involve, like in this county, you'd have to have between 10 and 12 people in our little county would have to be in on this and so forth, because these machines, I don't know if you saw, the Secretary of State was here
Last week.
last week.
Last Friday.
And one of the things he pointed out, our equipment is not connected to the internet. There was an incident up north, I think in Lake County, where they tried to plug in a laptop into the county's computer system to get into the Board of Elections. Well, all they ended up getting basically is they got a list of all the people that visited the county commissioners, because the Board of Elections system is not hooked up to the county. We are totally separate. And we're also, all of our equipment is not hooked up to the internet, can't be hooked up to the internet. The only way you could hack it is you'd have to tear the back off of one,
Right.
stick computers in it to try to rework something. And we have a sort of a phobia about allowing someone to take the back off a piece of our equipment and hook a computer to it.
No, we can only speak for Ohio.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ohio is right. I won't vouch for other states.
And
Right.
here,
We have the recording of it, and after the meet, because this is our only business, correct? Yes, Melanie?
Unless you guys have any.
I don't think we had any other.
I can actually take you back to my
We're
computer,
still
because the
on for
recording is
audit
downloaded on my
for-
computer,
Yeah, for
and I can play.
December 8th.
Video.
The video unfortunately is gone because we resumed, we have a subscription to Zoom, and our subscription expired.
How far did it go up to?
It's about
I think it goes
it was a
45
3-hour
minutes.
meeting and it's up to 2 hours. So that last hour, because that coin flip was the last thing that we
That's the
did.
free.
The free.
I thought it should have been the first thing after we done.
Yeah, because it's the last thing, that.
But it was done right after, it was done right after the count.
That was part of the
The
meeting.
county-
Yeah, that was part of the
Yeah.
meeting, yes,
The county
yes.
wasn't required either.
Yeah.
Basically, that was all.
Well, they're doing it back in a room, because again, it's done in a secure room that's under lock and
Yeah, the
key.
counting wasn't done in this room.
Right.
They do that in the ballot room,
Yeah,
where they go back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they come back with the results saying there is a tie.
and there's always an R and a D in that room when there's any.
So that room has no camera.
Yeah, yeah.
It does.
And it has a camera, but it's a security.
It's not, it's a security camera.
Like we have a security camera
Right,
on our
those-
ballot box out there, that
Yes.
blue box. We have a security camera on that so we can watch it. Now, obviously, we wouldn't expect any activity now, although potentially, I guess someone could return it.
We have it locked,
Right,
the ballot box is
Yeah.
locked, so no one can put
Yeah.
anything in it right now.
right now. And then when during our election cycle, it's unlocked so that if you wanted to come on you got off work at 2 a.m, and you had say your wife's absentee ballot, you're gonna vote early, but by absentee, and you wanted to drop it off here, well, we're not here, but you could put it in that box because it's locked, and then an R and a D walk out to it in the morning, put their key, unlock it, take all the ballots out, lock it back up, and come back in, and then those envelopes are worked on by an R and a D in order to register them into our equipment, because once, when you request an absentee ballot, we put your name into our system. And if you return it, obviously, we note that. If you don't return it, it's noted because we know that we sent you one. And that's important for our purposes, because if you go to the, you want to go to your precinct after you requested one. You didn't fill it out, but you requested it. Now I'll just go on election day. You'll vote provisionally.
Right.
Because your name will appear in a poll book and it'll flash up. They asked for a ballot.
Right.
And so unfortunately, we have to provisionally, but if that ballot doesn't come back, then your provisional ballot should be good to go, and so forth. And unfortunately, if there's a person out there, and this has happened, sent us a ballot and then went on election day and wanted to vote, that person is turned over to the sheriff's office for investigation to see if it was just a mistaken judgment error, whatever, or were they really trying to vote twice? So we try to keep this thing as fair as we possibly can and as open, and because we'd like to be transparent. And obviously, part of our system wants to be transparent, but obviously we ran out of apparently our share time or something on Zoom. And because of the way it works, the first part of business deals with bills and public comment and, sort of the rudimentary approved minutes, what you guys do. And then we had to go through all these ballot or envelopes and make decisions on the envelopes. And then the staff took them back and did that. So they're now working on it and then counting it. So you can imagine it would be at the end of everything that they would come back and go, here are they just give us like an 11-page document said, here are the final results. And of course, the first thing I think all of us did was we knew there were those 3 elections. So we wanted to know, do we have a recount? Well, we got to the one and went, well, we got a recount, it's a tie. And not only a tie, but we got to flip a coin to see who wins. So they have a special, I don't know about special, I think we've used the same coin or something. A quarter was produced, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think it was maybe one of your guys'.
Oh,
No, I went back and got it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Karen, we got a quarter. And then we decided, we're not gonna call it flying through the air, we're gonna
Right.
call it ahead of time. And I think we just probably went alphabetically and then. So you should be able to hear that, because there was a discussion about that. And again, you're just gonna hear a clank or a whatever, because when I flipped it.
Right. If I request a mail-in ballot, where does it get sent from to me?
Here,
From
Here.
here.
each county has sends out their own ballots.
Yeah.
Some may use a vendor, but we produce our own.
What's the chances of somebody requesting a ballot and not getting it? I mean, I understand there's chances of it.
Well,
It
that-
goes through the mailing system, I understand.
In fact,
that.
last year that we had several people that did do that, and what we told them, because we can tell that we have sent it out.
Right,
And what we told them, if you haven't received it by Monday of election day, go ahead and vote in your polling location.
right.
They'll vote provisionally
Right.
because they requested that absentee, but unfortunately we did. And I think that was just the mail.
Right. Oh, I understand that. Anything can get lost in the mail. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a shame, but,
Yeah.
Mike, what made me ask that question was last year in the presidential election, my mother received 3 ballots for herself and 2 for her dead husband.
Ballots?
She would not
Those would be
receive
request
ballots,
forms.
yeah, it would be a
Those would
request.
be
Those are-
request.
They would send her request forms?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
There were all kind of,
A lot of
nobody can
organizations,
send on a
outside
ballot,
organizations were.
I'm just going by her word. I never looked. I just thought I'd ask, yeah, okay.
Yeah, a lot
yeah,
of people.
they look a little
They're
bit,
not.
you know,
Yeah.
they're kind of white with black print on them.
But you
so
only get
people
one
could
per
get
year.
confused.
One-
But yeah, a lot of people got.
The
those
Secretary of
outside.
State last year sent out to every registered voter a registration
The
form for the
application.
the application
Right.
for the absentee. There was also President Trump sent out, his campaign sent
Sent
out.
out, okay.
I think there
There were
was a
several
Voters
other
for
organizations.
Prosperity or something, another nonprofit organization. They sent them out.
Right.
Believe me, we were inundated.
Right, I figured you were.
But why are you sending me these? They're not coming from us.
Right.
They were coming from different organizations. But
You guys will
you
send
should
one
know.
out and,
But no ballot, no more than one ballot will ever go to anybody from this office. If they get another ballot from somewhere else, we want to know about it.
right, right.
And we only
Well,
send out
true ballot.
requests if they're requested.
Okay,
We're only sending out the ones that call us and ask for
For the
an
application.
application, and then we'll send it out. We don't just send it
right,
out.
okay.
Yeah, in Ohio, with the exception of last year, Ohio can't just send out blank registration forms
applications.
or applications or ballots.
Yeah.
Some states send out ballots to
Right.
everyone,
Right, right.
which is a little frightening.
It is, but we can't control other states. We
That's
live in
right,
this
that's
one.
right.
So I said,
Let's
you
make
can
the
only
best of
speak
it.
to Ohio.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's make the best of this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would like to clear up any confusion, if anyone thinks that I'm related to Blaze, because our last name was both Amos, we're not related at all. My, Amos is my married name, I'm from this area, and my husband's from Virginia. So he's not related to anyone, any of the Amoses around this area.
That just occurred to me.
Funny how you would assume that, because that's the complaint we've been hearing. There is a lot of assumption of
So that's
that.
what I wanted
Well,
to
go
get,
ahead
just
and
to
tell
clear
people.
that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
appreciate that background.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Tell
was
everybody that-
thinking, because Melissa's related to everybody, so.
I didn't want to throw anybody under the bus and say anybody's name, but everybody has been saying
Yeah.
that to
A lot of
us.
Yeah.
people like.
And we don't know. We don't
Yeah, I
know.
know.
But I mean, you
We don't know who I was
Right.
related to,
Yeah.
whatever.
So that's why, like, when I was a poll worker, I pulled myself because 4 of my relatives for 2 seats were running and there's 7 or 8 running, and you're like, I'm not
Yeah.
putting myself
Yeah.
there.
When the last names were even.
And our last names were different, but I mean, I still wouldn't, because I didn't want someone going, well,
Right, because it's a
she's
small
rooting for
area.
so-and-so,
Yeah.
she's rooting for
Yeah.
so-and-so. No, I'm not rooting for anybody.
My aunt and uncle work at the poll up at the library in New Morris. They asked me, you gotta run this year? Because we're out, we gotta be
Yeah,
out if you're
that's
running,
right.
so.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
a lot of times we'll move them if they're willing to move.
Right.
Yeah, to
You
where you're
know,
not.
to a different location where you're not on a.
I always tease them and tell them, I'll just go somewhere else and run for a seat and they can stay there.
well, I do want to say, I was shocked to see how many people did run in New Meadows.
Yeah.
That's great.
Especially
That is
on
great.
I call it an oddball year, but not a
Yeah,
presidential
exactly,
election,
exactly.
It was amazing that so many people got involved, and actually the voter turnout was even more than what I thought it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You had good voter turnout.
43%.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the countywide, it was 23.
yeah, 23, so you.
And that's kind of shocking, I mean, not shocking, but that's up there.
That's
you know?
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, it's disappointing.
I went to every poll, I was at
These
New
elections are
Meadows,
more important
and it was
sometimes
packed,
than
I mean, it was busy the
presidential.
entire day.
Absolutely.
Because you're where the
That's what I heard.
rubber
They run
meets the
everywhere.
road.
I think
All the new
the
equipment this
local
year,
elections are
they
more
ran it
important than the
Yeah.
presidential.
The only thing
Well,
I
they
like
impact
was too
us.
small.
Yeah.
We're hoping to
And what you do in your, as mayor
Absolutely.
has a bigger impact a lot of times than what some presidents do.
Yeah, I was
as far as-
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
you're doing good things in New Meadows to have that much interest.
Yeah,
coming to,
well, we've been trying to get more people involved.
Yeah.
We're inviting people to meetings, everybody's got their gripes
Yeah,
and complaints, but they won't come to the meetings.
Like everybody that's
They'll catch
questioning this.
me.
yeah.
Showed up.
Yeah, and that, I gotta show up, people's questioning,
Yeah.
I'm for the people, so
Well,
I got some information to take back to them.
Yeah.
I live in Beverly, we had 4 seats open and only 2 people ran.
Yeah,
You know?
and usually that's the way it is up at
Exactly.
Newmac. We're constantly just appointing people because
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
ran for it. And then you're out there begging people. 'cause-
Exactly.
I don't
And
like
it's a shame
Yeah,
that people
they have
care, and we just want to
It's a
get involved and do stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, are we done here?
Well, thank you all for coming. I can play that recording for you if you guys want to hear it.
the recording.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's something else.
Or if you, I can email it to somebody if you'd like to hear it.
We always have the recording.
Yeah.
Do you have a,
Right.
why don't you write it down? And I can email you that recording. I might have to trim it down.
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to see if
Just any.
Yeah, because everything was.
That sounds like, I'd like to see what it
Yeah,
is.
so it ended up the 72 again.
Why would it do?
All right, well, we're gonna wrap things up here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I have a motion with regard to the recount?
I'll make a motion that the results of the recount be approved.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes. All right, well, now it's official.
All right.
Thank you. Again, if you want to listen, we can.
Well, I'm gonna email it to it.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good trip.
Thank you.
Enjoy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Want a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Make a motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're done.
And Glenn, you on the road right away.